Hey, everybody. Thanks and welcome back. I'm Heather Gray, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and certified bioenergetic practitioner. And this is Bioenergetics Beat, brought to you by Nikki. Unleash the wellness within. It's a non-invasive, easily affordable, and highly effective approach to optimize wellness. It's a wearable device that puts frequency-based better life in your hands and on your wrist. And we have a very special guest today, Ms. Nicole Ritter, and she is a fellow FDN like myself. We're going to be talking about all about the things of root causes of fatigue, and I'm so excited to have her on. Let's give her a warm welcome, everyone. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! What part of the world are you in? You're in Colorado with me, right?
Yeah, I'm in Arvada, Colorado, right outside of Denver.
Yeah, we were just talking, a big old storm like ran over Colorado last night, and it was between the full moon this week and then the storm, like I haven't gotten a whole lot of sleep the last couple of days.
No, sleep, like fatigue is kind of high this week, right? So it's very on topic.
So on topic. I'm going to love this conversation. I can already tell. So I have noticed that most of us that are FDNs, most of us that are in the alternative world, we got here because we have a story, right? A backstory that got us here, you know, that kind of took us out of the traditional Western model. So I would love to get into, you know, what made you become an FDN and why are we talking about fatigue and why, you know, what lights you up and how'd you get there?
So my story is super long. I'll try to shorten it. But I was raised by doctors. My dad's a heart surgeon. My mom is a therapist. My grandparents were doctors. And I held medicine, like natural medicine as, not natural, sorry, Western medicine as like the holy grail, right? So I grew up very sick. I grew up with chronic sinus infections, headaches, migraines, anxiety, depression, horrible.
I love that. I'm sorry, but you were just like, I grew up with doctors and I grew up very sick. Like, I mean, but and they probably didn't even realize, right, the paradigm. They were never took a step back and was like, wait.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's no, it's fine. It's interesting now because my dad is one of my clients and my parents like they love what I do. And, you know, medicine is there for a reason. If I have a heart attack, like don't call a FDN, like go to the hospital, right? Call my dad. Or if I break an arm, like go to the hospital. We can't help you like I can't. I don't know how to help someone like regenerate their arm or heal broken bones. But, you know, growing up with having medicine be the answer really made me sick. I was chronically ill. I was chronically fatigued. I didn't have chronic fatigue, but I was just always like this general sense of like malaise and like lack of energy and lack of just drive for life was always there. And the answer, and I talk about this all the time, but the answer back then was always medication. So there was a point in my life, I was around 20, I think I was 24. I was on 7 different medications, including like over-the-counter allergy medications. I was on steroids for my migraines. I was on prednisone for a month. I blew up. I've never had weight issues before, but I blew up. I was like, you know, the girl who blows up in Violet, yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was like Violet, but I didn't turn violet. And I was miserable. I was living in a fog and just was so tired of not being heard and not being understood. So I actually found black mold in my basement in 2017. And that was when podcasts like first started becoming like popular. So I just went on a podcast and I searched mold. And it was this podcast called Learn True Health with Ashley James. And she interviewed someone about mold. I listened to that while I was cleaning up the black mold with no gloves, no like nothing. And I was like, I used bleach because I had no clue what I was doing back then. And then I just kept on researching and I learned that you could help people holistically heal from these chronic issues without using medication. And I became obsessed. So that's just been my journey ever since, just healing myself. I've completely reversed all of my symptoms. I got pregnant naturally. I have PCOS and I had multiple doctors tell me I wasn't going to be able to have a baby. I have a 2.5-year-old son who is just incredible, the light of my life. And I just love what I do. You can feel good and you can get off your medications. And you don't have to live life just feeling horrible.
Oh, that's beautiful. I had no idea your backstory. I had no idea you dealt with mold, and I had no idea that you were told that you would never be able to have kids. What a little miracle that is. So now when I see your pictures, your family pictures, which I always love to see anyway, come across Facebook, I'm going to make sure to double like them because
Oh, you're
it's a little miracle. That's awesome.
He is a miracle. And there's so many things in between. I know you specialize in Lyme. I got diagnosed with Lyme. And I think that was a huge part of my issue growing up, which I didn't know because I was never tested for Lyme. And that, I was, with Lyme, I was exhausted. And
there's no term for the level of exhaustion that Lyme people and mold people experience, like even fatigue, exhausted, nothing.
Yeah.
There's no word in the English language that touches what they experience.
How tired.
How tired. It's insane.
It's horrible. And, and sometimes we were labeled, me and I know a lot of other clients, as lazy, right? And when you don't have energy to even get out of bed, like you can't be productive. You can't have a normal job. I was in the corporate world in my 20s and luckily found this career, but I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't have found this career and healed myself, because I just didn't have. People call me very zesty now. It's one of my strengths, my character strengths. I was not zesty back then. I just had no zest for life.
Oh, I love that, zesty. Nicole, she's really zesty. I'm
zesty.
Yeah. I'm tenacious, but yeah, zesty. I love it. So how did you end up finding FDN?
A podcast. So I became obsessed with Ashley James, Learn True Health. I've messaged her all the time. Like, I talk about you on every single podcast I'm on. He or she interviewed Reed and he was talking about FDN. I was already a nutritionist and a health coach, but I wasn't able to run those functional labs. So him talking about that and just hearing him talk about how just the functional model and the way of just getting the body out of chaos. I was like, oh my gosh, I think my body's in chaos. And that was just a huge game changer for me and all my clients.
That's incredible. Yeah, I found him off of Sean Croxton's Underground Wellness podcast. That's when I first heard Reed. And I was a silly hairstylist back then who was just diagnosed with Lyme, and I had no medical background, but intuitively I knew when he spoke and he talked about, you've got to make sure your detox pathways are open. Right. You got to make sure your gut is working right. And you got to make sure, all the FDN ways. And I was like, this is it. This is it. And it was it, so it's a beautiful program. This is a phenomenal place to take a quick little break. We'll dive deeper into what she does, what the root cause of fatigue is. And actually, this little commercial break, we're going to show you one of the ways that we deal with fatigue. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
I have struggled with sleep for a while, so I do know that it affects everything. But having insomnia, that's something that I would never wish upon anyone. Like, until you don't realize how important sleep is until you lose it. And when you lose it, you really, really realize how much it affects everything. It affects everything within the next day. And then a few days after that, it creates this vicious cycle that you can't get out of. And so that was huge for me. And that was one of my biggest priorities of 2022, is trying to get my sleep back on track, and at least just sleeping for a few hours every single night, or not waking up every hour on the hour. And the very first day that I wore the device, I slept through the night, which is amazing.
Free shipping, free platinum set of frequencies for life, 30-day money-back guarantee. Nikki, be better, do better. We are Nikki.com.
Awesome. Welcome back. Yes, let's dive a little deeper. What are some of the root causes of fatigue that you found, and how are the different ways that you work with people? And would love to hear some success stories as well.
Yeah. So fatigue is actually the body's response to infection. It's a natural response to infection. Our immune system works best when the body is at rest, and our digestion works best when your body is at rest. I'm sure you've heard rest and digest. So chronic fatigue syndrome, years and years ago, I'm pretty sure in the 80s, was thought to be caused by chronic viral infections like EBV or even Lyme. Lyme is not viral, but it's a chronic infection. So there's more research that has come out recently that suggests that there's so many different causes. It's not that one root cause that we're looking for. It's that chaos and what's contributing to that chaos. So what I have found with my clients and with research is it can be anything from mitochondrial dysfunction to mineral imbalance to hypothyroid to mold illness to Lyme, which I'm not going to talk about Lyme that much here because you are the Lyme expert and I will leave that to you. but I'd love to talk about the other issues like mitochondrial dysfunction.
Yeah, dive deeper into that one. I would love to know that. And what is mitochondrial dysfunction? That's a huge buzzword these days. You know, it has been thrown around a lot. So dive a little deeper into enlighten us. What is mitochondrial dysfunction? And why should we care?
What'd you say?
And why should we care?
Well, you should care because the mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells. They produce ATP, which is an adenosine triphosphate, which is our cells and our body's main source of energy. You can think of it as like our body's money, and you need a lot of money in the body to do things, and that ATP is the body's money. So it is thought that people with chronic fatigue syndrome and just fatigue in general have a reduced ability to increase mitochondrial energy when it's needed. So that could be due to so many different things, but usually it's due to oxidative stress. So what we have to do when we look at mitochondrial dysfunction and mitochondrial energy is figure out what's causing that oxidative stress. A lot of people say that the root cause of fatigue and all disease in general is oxidative stress. So figuring out what's causing that, when you remove those barriers or decrease oxidative stress, then you can remove the fatigue and remove the dis-ease, which is a really cool way of thinking.
No, absolutely. Instead of throwing band-aids at symptoms, let's get to the root cause and find out why our cells aren't operating at optimal level, because our bodies are so beautifully made. Like, left to its own devices, given the right tools, it's amazing. Like, you and I's stories are both perfect examples of what can happen when we get out of the way, right? And we support our bodies in a natural way. Like, you were sick for decades, almost your whole dang life. I was undiagnosed Lyme for 28 years, mold toxicity, 3 autoimmune diseases. And we are not the exception, right? This is actually very common stuff to be able to reverse. So I love FDN, and I love what we're doing. So go a little deeper into, like infections. So you said mineral imbalance, infections, mold. So yeah, dive deeper into some of the other causes to fatigue.
So minerals are so important. Minerals are the spark plugs of life. So we need minerals and able to do anything. They serve as cofactors for a lot of different enzymes in our body. And that's just a fancy way of saying we can't live without them. And there's a really important protein in our body called ceruloplasmin, which is activated and created from copper and vitamin A or retinol. And ceruloplasmin is very important because if we don't have ceruloplasmin, we can't transport copper and we can't move or transport iron, and the excess iron can cause oxidative stress. So just going back to what's damaging our mitochondria, if you have excess iron, it may be because you lack minerals like copper. Other minerals that are super important that I love, magnesium. So I just did an Instagram story about this, but every single ATP molecule, in order to be biologically active, has to be attached to magnesium. So ATP should actually be called like magnesium ATP. And if your body's producing enough ATP, but you don't have enough magnesium, it's not going to be biologically active. So your body can't use it as well as it should be able to. And our world is just kind of depleted of minerals, unfortunately, because of the toxins and the pollutants and the farming. So that is something that I do think that everyone should supplement with. I think I take ketone. I don't know if you've heard of these.
Oh yeah, of course. Through
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the most beautiful display at that event we went to in the glass bucket. Right. So I love these. Trace minerals from the sea. They just help your body function like they're supposed to, and they make you feel great. Like, I don't wake up and crave coffee anymore. I crave minerals, and coffee doesn't help with my fatigue. Minerals help with my fatigue.
Minerals is essential for a healthy bioenergetic field as well,
Yeah.
And when the bioenergetic field is out, a lot of the things that we do on a physical level aren't going to work to its full potential. So minerals, they really are should be the foundation, and everybody should be on them. And I don't like to should very often, but that is one of those, it's sad because I get people are like, oh, you're over supplementing people. I try to get mine from food, and I'm like, that's great and fine and dandy, but there's multiple research studies out there that have shown that you have to eat like 10 bowls of spinach to get the same amount of minerals that you used to back, 30 years ago with one bowl of spinach. So
Right.
our food is not the same anymore, right?
It's so depleted. And then spinach has oxalates.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's another story.
That's a whole nother story, especially those of us with chronic illness, like oxalates are a thing. Like,
yeah.
They are a thing. That is something to be concerned about. I shouldn't say worried. Like I take my LMNT, I take minerals at night, I take extra magnesium. I can't even get over the level my brain and my bowels started working on a regular basis when I got magnesium on a regular basis. Like,
yeah,
I love magnesium.
It's incredible. So anyone out there who is not taking magnesium, I think everyone should take it. Honestly, I think that is it's a harmless, there's not really any negative impacts of it unless you're taking citrate, and then it may cause way too many bowel movements. But magnesium glycinate at night, I take 500 milligrams of glycinate after I eat dinner, and it's incredible. It's done wonders. And even I know this is about fatigue, but even for headaches, I had a client way back when I was just a health coach, and she was like, I have chronic headaches. And I was like, well, so did I. I had headaches and migraines, but I started taking magnesium and mine went away. Let's just try that with you. And hers went away.
Oh, funny. That's awesome.
It's just, she's like, I'm good now. I don't need you. So it's just incredible.
That's awesome.
So what the body can do when it's given the right tools, and magnesium is one of those amazing tools that I think everyone should have.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. All right, so let's dive a little deeper into like infection and mold.
Mold. Unfortunately, my favorite subject. So I won't get too detailed into it because I have entire podcasts about mold, but mold is a living organism. It produces mycotoxins, which are the toxins that can damage our cells, can damage our mitochondria, and can cause massive inflammation. So when you're looking at it from a damage perspective, that can go in and damage the mitochondria, and the mitochondria is going to produce less ATP, but also it's a toxic burden on your body that your body has to deal with. So think of toxins and like everything that goes through your body as your body has to deal with that, filter out those toxins, and it's expending energy every single time a new toxin comes in. So if you're just no one tries to fill their body with mold. Like it's not anyone's fault if they have mold, but if your body is just over processing mold, it's going to be able to spend less energy on things that actually matter, like creating that cellular energy and just having enough energy to do daily functions. It is thought that mold can be a trigger for chronic fatigue syndrome. And I mean, debilitating fatigue is one of the symptoms of mold just because of how it impacts the body. It's so inflammatory, and it's also immunosuppressive. So it's going to be suppressing your immune system. So that makes you more susceptible to these other infections like viral infections or like the Lyme and co-infections, and just any other toxin that's going to be coming in your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of my favorite things that I love to talk about when it comes to like fatigue is sleep hygiene, right? Because how often sometimes I love low hanging fruit, right? And how often are people burning the candle at both ends and I've never even heard the word sleep hygiene before. Can you dive a little deeper into sleep hygiene and how that affects, the next day and fatigue and how all that's connected?
Yeah. So I'm sure every single one of you, if you can see this video, goes to sleep like this. As I used to, right? We're like scrolling our phones. We're on whatever social media is new. I think Threads is like the new thing. That is so disruptive to your sleep cycle, especially your melatonin production. So if you think back about our ancestors, right? However many, let's say like 500 years ago, they didn't have cell phones. They probably had candlelit dinners, and their circadian rhythm was with the sun, right? So they went to bed soon after the sun went down, and they woke up when the sun rose. That is supposed to be our circadian rhythms. We're supposed to be able to wake up when the sun is rising and go to sleep when the sun is setting. We have completely changed that with modern technology. And now modern technology is amazing. Like neither one of us would be able to have a job without modern technology. So I do love it, but it's so disruptive to those natural patterns. So sleep hygiene, just the basic things, sleep without your cell phone in the room. Like just turn it on airplane mode. I don't turn mine off. I just turn it on airplane mode, and I sometimes leave it outside of my room. Instead of watching TV, like do not have TV in your bedroom. Don't fall asleep with TV. Read a book like our ancestors would have done, or I don't know what they were reading if the books weren't around back then, but read a book and maybe talk to your partner if you sleep next to someone, and just prepare your body for sleep. It's so important not to look at screens deep into the night, because that's going to disrupt, like I said, your melatonin production, and that is your sleepy hormone. It's going to help you fall asleep naturally. Other things that I like are sleeping with it a little bit cooler in the bedroom and having like a weighted blanket that really helps me sleep. It's not even like a special weighted blanket, it's just heavy. Not drinking too much water before you go to sleep, so you don't have to wake up and go to the bathroom. Just the simple things that we take for granted kind of because we have technology that's interrupting them.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of technology that we love that, can be beneficial, like the commercial that was just ran, it was about, the Nikki, and it actually delivers a sleep frequency through red light. And it has been a total game changer at helping people calm their nervous system down and also help prep that body right into that sleep mode, because there's a whole cascade of events that actually need to happen before your body can actually get prepped for sleep. And so often, most of us, like right there, we go from having our phones right here to then laying there going, why can't I sleep? There's no prep time. There's no nothing. It's just hot and cold, and our bodies need a little bit more coaxing than that. They need more runway. So I love these different tools and these different methodologies out there to just get back to the basics, right?
Right. And sometimes it is as simple as that, like getting back to the basics, right? Eating enough. Like no one eats enough, or none of my clients eat enough. They come to me, we do a 3-day food and mood journal, and we analyze their carbs, or their protein, fat, and carbs, like their macros, but we also analyze their micronutrients. So their vitamins and minerals. None of my clients are hitting the vitamin and mineral intake, even like the RDA, right? The recommended dietary allowance, which is lower than optimal, as everything is. So make sure you're eating enough protein so that your blood sugar is stable throughout the day, because that too, when you have these highs and lows of blood sugar, that can impact not only mood, because if you ever heard the word hangry, but your fatigue, right? So many of my clients, before working with me, they would wake up. Most of my clients are moms, they have children. They would wake up, feed their kids, drink coffee on an empty stomach, take their kids to school, and then eat, like maybe work out, eat breakfast, and then have this huge slump. Well, it's because they forgot the most important meal of the day, right? We need to eat breakfast, and we need to eat protein with that breakfast in order to stabilize our blood sugar. And if you're just drinking coffee, I'm rambling now, but it's increasing cortisol. It's spiking the cortisol, increasing inflammation, and it's just setting your body up for the opposite of success throughout the day in terms of blood sugar.
No, absolutely. I don't think you're rambling at all. I think you're still bringing in very amazing points. One of the biggest things that you can do to help set yourself up for success is get that first morning sunlight hitting your eyes.
Yes.
Most people don't realize that the best thing you can do for your sleep at night is to get sunlight on your eyes first thing in the morning, right? Because it really helps. I was actually told by someone, if you've really got massive circadian issues and massive sleep issues, the best thing you can do, go camping for a week.
Yeah.
Because you're back in tune with the natural rhythms of the daylight. You're, usually doing a little more grounding, earthing. You're away from less technologies and artificial light.
Right.
It totally makes sense. And who doesn't want to go camping for a week?
I don't, but I think
I don't either.
I think that maybe my husband would. He wanted to go camping this weekend. I was like, in a hotel. But I get it. I love being around nature, and I think nature is very healing. Everyone talks about like going on walks in nature, so that totally makes sense. Just being one with nature and being around just the beauty of the world, right? Because we live in cardboard boxes and a lot of us live inside, and the inside air is most of the time more toxic than the outside air. So getting within nature and breathing in that fresh air away from like all the pollutants of modern society that we love so much is so good for you.
So we've touched on a little bit on so many beautiful things that actually need to be taken into account. Let's dial it in for folks that give us the top 5 things to kind of help with the root cause of fatigue, like from your point of view.
So if it's really bad, if your fatigue is really bad, I always suggest working with a practitioner who can run labs. If that's not the case for you, if you can't either afford that right now, or you're just like, oh, I have a little bit of fatigue. Number 1, stop drinking coffee. Like if you drink a ton of coffee a day, slowly cut down, but it's not doing you any favors. Instead, have a big glass of mineral water. You can get these ketone and just mix it with water. Have that first thing in the morning, eat protein with breakfast. And then figure out, take like a body scan, what's going wrong? Because if fatigue is not your only issue, right? If you have constipation, then it, figure out where that constipation is coming from. Are you eating enough? Do you have hypothyroid? Hypothyroid is huge. I see it in almost every single woman I work with. That's an underactive thyroid. Our thyroid is our master of our metabolism and plays a huge role in energy production and energy metabolism. So figuring out what else is going wrong and then just kind of diving deeper into each one of those things. It's so hard with anything, right? There's no one true root cause. And I used to think that mold was everyone's root cause because almost everyone I work with has mold illness or, suffering from mold. But once you get rid of the mold, you have to bring the body back into balance. And then you have to deal with the gut infections, all the stress, trauma. So really, like I said, work with someone who can guide you, because I spent so many years just doing this on my own and spent so much money. And I was like my own lab rat. And yeah, that was fun and such a big learning opportunity for me. But I think you can save a lot of time and money by just working with someone who can truly make a customized protocol.
Say that one more time, because it's so frustrating. People are like, I can't afford to work with you. And I'm like, I don't think you quite understand the cost of money and time for not working with me, because both of us, it took years to get it out to where we can dial this stuff in for folks within 3 to 6 months. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap, right? Like if we were cheap, we probably wouldn't know what we were doing, but it's an investment in your health. And I always tell clients that if you don't invest now, you'll have to invest a lot more later with the hospital bills. I mean, I had no clue when I had a baby. I know that's not like an illness, but it was 10 grand to have a baby, and I have great insurance. Like being at a hospital is not cheap, right? And we don't want you to end up there. And you also don't want to have to get to the point where you have a diagnosis. So many people come to me and they're like, well, I'm not diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Can I still work with you? And I'm like, that's great. You don't need to wait for a diagnosis. You can prevent that diagnosis from even occurring just by getting your body back into balance. So it's definitely an investment, but you are so worth it. Like you're worth it.
Amen, sister. Mic drop.
Bye. See you later.
Right? We're out. On that note, so tell us, how can people find you? This is the shameless promotion time. So what are you promoting? What are you putting out there? Where can people find you?
So I have a business called Nicole Ritter Health, and on everywhere it's just Nicole Ritter Health on Instagram. And I love Instagram. I love connecting with people and educating. I do a lot of free education. My website, Nicole Ritter Health. I work with both adults and children. So I do specialize in chronic illness. I do work a lot with mold. But like I said before, you don't have to have like a specific condition to work with me, because your condition is not the problem, it's the result of a problem. So we really work in finding out what's causing all of these issues. I love working with adults, but children are just like a special place in my heart, especially because I'm a mom. And it's so sad to me, the stories I hear of moms like having been to every specialist under the sun and hospitals and all these tests, and they can't figure out what is wrong, but they haven't ordered the right tests. So it's just I love working with children. Obviously adults that's what I've been doing for the longest. Children I added in this year, and I just adore working with kids.
That's great to know, because there's not a whole lot of you out there working with kids. I wanted to in the beginning just because of my own kids' health journey as well, but I found it hard enough to even just get one adult on the path, right? Let alone getting 2 adults and a kid on the path. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's a whole nother headache.
It is. And I have found that I usually work with the moms. I haven't met many dads through this process, maybe one, but they are super dedicated. There's a really good book. It's called, I think it's called Reversing the New Childhood Epidemics. It's about the 4A disorders. So autism, allergies, anxiety, and what's the fourth? Autism, allergy, anxiety, and ADHD. Yeah, sorry. So he is a medical doctor who turned holistic, and he just tells stories that are incredible. And it's stories that you and I experience with our clients every single day, right? Just like miraculous healing after following these protocols. And he does say the thing that matters the most is the love of a parent, because these children can't do it by themselves. But I have found, and he has found from reading from his book, that these parents are so dedicated and they're so desperate just to be heard. And they're so sick of like the runaround of like, oh, go to this specialist, go to that specialist, go this, like, just like I was, right? I had 7 different specialists giving me 7 different medications, like that didn't work. So it is a beautiful thing helping kids heal, but the parents really do have to be invested, because it's a lot. And sometimes the kids are not on board, but it's amazing once it actually happens and they all work together.
Well, kudos to you. And so thank you for joining us very much today. And so make sure to follow Nicole Ritter.health. That's Ritter, her last name. You'll find that information in the show notes. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this type of stuff, because like we said, our lives got turned around by listening to a podcast, and we're hoping to be that same, podcast for you. So if you found something that resonates with you, make sure to share it. Here at Nikki, we really love our customers, and to show our appreciation, we're giving away a device every single podcast episode. So make sure you go check out the show notes on how to enter. Stay tuned. And also, if you want to find out more about how we deal with sleep issues, make sure to go to wearenikki.com/podcast, and you'll use the code BioBeats to get a 10% off. So
awesome.
Stay tuned. Have a healthy day. Thanks.
Thank you.
There's a new word for wellness, Nikki. Nikki, the bioenergetic wearable designed to help you feel better and perform better. Other wearables just track how you're doing. Nikki is about helping you do better. Nikki takes bioenergetic frequency science to a new level and onto your wrist. Nikki technology carries frequencies into the body to organize and optimize the cellular network, the trillions of cells that communicate by light and frequencies to keep us alive and feeling our best. Physical and mental trauma can upset cellular communication, and Nikki is designed to help restore it. Touch the Nikki screen to choose the frequency you want for what you want to do and how you want to feel. Low energy? Touch energy for a boost. Stressed out? Stress and anxiety is to calm you down. Aches and pains? Choose Nikki Pain. Nikki has frequency sets intended to fight allergies, strengthen immunity, and keep viruses and bacteria at bay. If you're going on a trip and want to arrive fresh and ready to enjoy your vacation, touch travel. And if you want to wake up ready to go, Nikki Nighttime is for overcoming daytime trauma while you sleep. Every Nikki comes loaded with a full inventory of frequency sets, including pain, energy, travel, immune, stress and anxiety, viruses and bacteria, allergies, insomnia, daytime bundles, nighttime bundles. Nikki puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better. Do better. wearenikki.com.